Hello, friends, and good brunchanoon, and welcome to our Peach Brunch. So these croquettes are so good.
You think so?
I do, if I must say so myself.
Who
With a little bit of
prepared
yum sauce. You know, we got a chef always that's preparing food for us.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a new season, which is fitting that we got all our yellow on, bringing in a new season, Mother Earth, springtime.
Yeah.
And so,
Y'all got your yellow on. Y'all have y'all yellow on.
so y'all know I just finished the retreat.
Oh.
So chemistry is up and running, ready to go.
Congratulations.
And so we're all about, in the beginning, talking about self-care.
Self-care.
So,
absolutely.
And it's important because how do we determine when we're caring for ourselves versus caring for other people? And sometimes we look at it as if, we're conditioned to have to take care of other people, especially as mothers. And so how do we really differentiate between what's good for us to take care of ourselves versus what's good for us when we just take care of other people?
Well, let's go back. What's your definition of self-care?
Self-care is when you're paying attention to the things that are happening to you. And it's the full she that I talk to people about. So it's your social self. Are we engaging? Because I cannot not spend time with y'all. Then it's our sexual selves. Are we recognizing that?
My she.
We got our things going on with our spiritual self. Yes, all of that. And then making sure that we're healthy, we're eating right, we're thinking, and so it's just empowering ourselves.
Right.
So that's our she. And it's important that we pay attention to all those elements, because we talked about it too, Justin, where we get to a point where are we out of balance?
Right.
Are we not in harmony? So what are the triggers that get us there to figure out, okay, maybe it's time for my own self-care? What you guys think? What you think?
Well, I definitely think that life gets in the way sometimes, and it keeps you from being able to care for your own self.
Yeah.
And sometimes when life gets in the way for a lot of individuals, it becomes too late, and you're so far down this rabbit hole where you truly forget to take care of yourself, right?
Because you're so conditioned to taking care of everybody else.
Exactly.
But do you think everybody's really just taking care of everybody else?
Not necessarily, but I also think
know.
that life gets in the way in a lot of aspects, and you have no time for self-care.
But
and everybody's definition of self-care is different.
We say that life gets in the way. We don't make time. And that's why we get to a point. No, because we're just not prioritizing. Like when you think about, okay, when my body's telling me something and I'm not feeling good, when do you decide, okay, I got to pay attention to myself?
But sometimes people don't get the opportunity to take off from work to even make time for self-care.
So what are the things that you can do for self-care?
Well, for me, what I do for self-care is I exercise daily.
Okay.
Just because, it clears my mind. I know that I'm doing something physical, and I feel like that's just, some me time for me to think about what's ahead, what's in front of me, what I need to do for me. And
that's not selfish?
No,
because a lot of times people think it's selfish.
Well, my physical is purely about me. It has nothing to do with anyone else, any other individual,
And self-esteem has a lot to do with how you feel in your own body. You know what I mean? That controls a lot. When I don't feel like I feel good, when I don't think I look good, then I internalize a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we living in a world where it's like a shitload of stress, right?
Right. It is.
So how are we now de-stressing and taking on more of those elements that help keep us calm, help keep us cleared? What do you do for self-care?
Minding your own damn business. Look, no shade.
You always saying that about me. Mind your own business.
You have to.
For me, my definition of self-care, I mean, there are many, right? But something that I started doing this year was I told myself I would not make myself uncomfortable to make somebody else comfortable.
Okay.
So
makes sense.
So
meaning,
go a little deeper on that.
I'll give you a good example. I had a friend reach out to me a few weeks ago on a Friday. It's like, hey, I want to go out to eat to Nobu. I really want to go. We could get reservations tonight, and we're going to go with this group of people. Well, I didn't have a haircut, so I didn't feel at my best. Well, they were like, no, well, just go. I mean, it's okay. You could put a hat on, and it was all of these. You could do this, you could do that, you could do this, you could do that.
Right.
But I wasn't comfortable because I couldn't be my best self in that moment.
Right.
Well, what I'm doing is I'm making myself uncomfortable to make you comfortable so that we can go. And I didn't want to do that.
Right.
And so I've learned to just be comfortable with saying no.
Yeah.
Now is not the time. And I think so many times when we talk about taking care of other people, we take care of other people's feelings.
Right.
We take care of other things that are important to other individuals. What's important to me is to make sure that I look my best self, right? To make sure I'm taking care of me.
Regardless of how you feel.
But do
Right,
people
regardless of how
define
somebody
that as
else
being
feels.
selfish? Because I'm going to tell you, I got a problem with that. Because I often, in myself, I will go out of my way. If somebody asks me to do something, I'll go out of my way to try and help them.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but I
is
don't
that
think
being
it's always...
reciprocated?
I don't know that I'm always looking for it to be reciprocated.
And it doesn't have to be.
But I
is
just
it?
feel like, no, not all the time. But I feel like, am I not caring for myself when I choose to be open to help somebody else?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
right? I mean, again, because when you take
Because I look at it as selfish.
and it's okay to be selfish. This is your life. You get one
Right.
life to live.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when the lights cut off for you, honey, it's over. You don't get a second chance.
Plus, I'm sure the people that you call yourself taking care of are grown people.
No, it doesn't matter if they're grown or not. If somebody's asking you for help, then at
But
times I think
help
they need
on
help.
what?
I mean, for example, I run a women's
Okay,
retreat.
okay.
So, of course, that's my purpose and
Right,
my job.
right.
I've been purpose with that. So, for that, I understand that's going to take its toll on me. But
Right.
there are times when people will ask me where it's not pertaining to people coming to me and saying, I need you to help me focus on what's important for me in my life.
Right.
Then it's other people's priorities. Hey, I need you. Can you take care of this? Can you help me, bail me out on this particular situation? And I always want to show up for people, but
Sometimes
because I feel guilty.
Sometimes
You got it.
well,
at
for
this
yourself.
point, you have to know your limits. You
Yeah.
have to know your limits
That's
and how
good.
far you're willing to stretch
Limits.
yourself for other boundaries.
Boundaries.
That's what you know. What boundaries is? That's like a fairly new word that kind of came about within
And we
the
don't do
last
it
3
enough.
years that I've heard about it. Like boundaries have always been in place, but the fact that we're just now
We're gonna do a good job at saying
Reinforcing it.
Yeah, we're definitely reinforcing.
Well,
it
tell me
nowadays.
more about when you say boundaries. What are you thinking about?
We allow a lot of times we allow people to do things that we wouldn't necessarily agree with, but because we don't have enough balls to speak up and say no. You know, no is a very uncommon word in a lot of our vocabulary because we want to be there for people.
Because a lot of times we think that the word no comes with conflict.
Right.
And a lot of people
it
just
does,
aren't.
because some people aren't
They don't accept it, right? But you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Well, some people have always had boundaries. Because let's just be honest. Some
True.
people are not all about helping you. They're about being selfish.
Right.
So what's the
I
new
don't think we're
word
talking
of
about that.
boundaries? What is the new thing about setting boundaries? Why has that come about recently?
This is for people that has been kind of like ran over and kind of stepped on. That's what I said boundaries are.
Well, I also think it's about the world around us is evolving.
Right.
So us as people, we're evolving too. And I think going through a pandemic, people begin to start realizing that
I'm important.
I'm important.
Yeah.
Right? This job may not be as important anymore, right? These other outside factors may not be important anymore. Getting the opportunity to sit at home and only focus on you and doing things a little bit differently have caused individuals out there to realize that I'm important. My time is important. And that needs to be valued and respected. And so I got to do certain things that make me and put me in a right mental space and begin to start doing my own self-care and taking care of self.
So is self-care now really an evaluation of like you? Like we used to give more to people now, but is it becoming so selfish in the state that we're in? To be
I think the definition of it is changing.
About you. Okay.
I think the definition is changing. I think what we knew self-care as before is I get my hair done, my nails done, you know, I work out, you know, I buy myself this. I think it's evolved now to say, okay, I'm setting boundaries. Right, I'm teaching people. My values are changing.
Right.
My time is more valuable.
It was
My
more
time is very
physical. Now
It
it's more
was
mental.
Now it's more mental. Now it's more all-encompassing.
I'm feeling
You
it.
can't
so many
just come
things.
and, you know, intrude on my personal space.
Right.
This is, you know, you can't just come and do what you want to do
Yes,
on my
and
time.
I think a lot of people out there are saying, you know, the word no, and they're also saying what they will take and what they won't take,
All right.
what I accept and what I don't accept, right?
Instead
And I think
of
more
word-
people are comfortable with expressing that, right? A lot of people, and we're starting to see it in jobs. A lot of people are like, you know what?
This
The
ain't
dollar
it.
doesn't matter
This ain't
anymore, right? It's a better work-life balance for me, or I don't want to necessarily do these responsibilities, or I want to be stressed out, right? I think it's just all-encompassing.
I'll take the pay cut.
What do you think now? The meaning that we're taking on for self-care is going to take us when we think about work, when we think about relationships, when we think about I'm putting myself first and how I feel, how is our society going to have to now readjust to people saying, no, I'm not going to make this sacrifice. Maybe I'm not going to be as courteous to you. Maybe I'm not going to, you know what I mean?
I feel like society has already adjusted because you think about it, from 2020 to this very point, people don't even like to go to work, child.
So what does that mean?
People are.
That's their adjustment.
People are making their own ways. I know, but I think people don't want to go to work like for other people. I mean, trust me, people are making their way of living, but they don't want to go necessarily work for other people. So it's really just kind of making your own path.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Setting your own schedule and
steering your own
destiny
coordinates.
Yeah,
so instead of you necessarily going to a job, you're like, look, what's important to me?
Right. Let me figure out what I can do to make me some happy.
And people are beginning to figure out what brings them value.
Right.
Are there things that's like a triggering of self-care? Like, are there moments where you feel like this is what really got me to have to visualize and say, I got to start paying attention to me?
Sometimes. When you have certain individuals around you that's kind of breaking you more than normal.
Right.
Those.
What does that mean, breaking you more than normal?
Meaning, people that's kind of that's a distraction to your everyday life. People that's not really, bringing a lot of, revenue or value to your life. Those are triggering things because you're just like, what am I doing with you? Like, I love you, I want you around, but it ain't really working. Like, what am I getting out of this?
Yeah.
At some point it's going to click to where we've been friends for 20 years, but at the same time, 20 years ain't really got us nowhere together.
Yeah. I think we do spend a lot of time on time.
Yeah.
I think we spend a lot of time in time.
It was about, especially as I started developing better boundaries, I started realizing that people hold you accountable for behaviors that they don't exhibit. And so for me...
Go a little deeper in that. What do you mean?
Like your friends, people that you come in contact with, your friends, they want you to do certain things. They want you to have a certain behavior at times, right? Be there for me, do this, do that. Or they say, well, you didn't do this. Or, you made me feel this way. But they're not holding themselves accountable. They're not
practicing what they preach.
Right. Mm-hmm. And so I began to start realizing that, like the example I just gave, you wouldn't do that. If you weren't at your best and I called you and I asked you to go somewhere, would you do it? And the answer probably would be no.
That's been very common though, where people have always expected more from other people than what they're willing to give.
Almost
because you
definitely.
gotta teach people how to treat
it's just
you.
up to us as the individuals to put people in their place and set those boundaries. It's our job now. So I feel like now people are becoming more aware, self-aware.
Yeah.
Which comes to self-care, awareness.
And so I think what we're telling people is we have to just be aware of who we are, establish our own boundaries.
Yep.
Right.
And at some point, we're looking at ourselves internally to say, what is it that I'm establishing that's important for me?
Right.
And sometimes I'm having to cut people off.
And
then they cut them in.
Sometimes you're cutting them off.
Exactly.
You're cutting jobs off.
And you're teaching people how to treat you.
Yeah.
Right? And you're enjoying life more. Because again, you get only one try at it. Right? And so you gotta...
I just think
it's hard to articulate, but at the end of the day, you get one life.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think now people are beginning to realize, this is something that's, I'm glad I just got this point. People are dying a lot earlier sometimes, right? And you get to a certain age where things are starting to happen around you and it makes you evolve. It makes you a little more conscious, like, wow, like that could be me.
Yeah.
So I got to take the best out of life that it has to offer me in this moment and enjoy the moment right now, because that could be me tomorrow.
The only thing I fear sometimes when I'm talking to people about caring for yourself, I think it's a balance, because I don't want us to go so far that you're just like me, that we're not then in a place where we're giving to help each other, because that's the connection for all of us in this life.
Yeah, I think it's okay to give.
I'm here for you, you're here for me. We have had conversations about reciprocity. It don't have to matter if it's in a relationship or a situationship or a friendship. Or even people you don't even know. Right. How do we continue to reach out and help them? So self-care is one thing when you feel like it's a deterrent to your mental and your physical health. I just want to make sure we don't go too far with self-care, where then we only caring about ourselves, because we are all, in my opinion, designed to be here to help one another.
Yeah.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when we know that it's sometimes detrimental to us, I'll take it for a moment.
Yeah.
If I'm helping a friend,
Especially
a
if
family
it's a good
member.
deed.
You know what
I
I
get
mean?
it.
Yeah, it's okay.
And you know, like you said, sometimes we all get caught up in these comas.
Yeah.
You know, of just other people's lives and just trying to be there and support them. But it's
Just
all
be an
good.
evaluation of it.
Yep. It's all about balance.
It is.
Balance.
I love it. Thank you. We hope you enjoyed this Peach Brunch. Take this topic back to your conversation and your friends, and we'll see you the next time.